Hello again. I hope you had a nice break. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the exercise part of the physical activity, as opposed to the non-exercise physical activity discussed in the morning. As I said before, management of Parkinson's is multifaceted: education, support, medication, and exercise physical therapy activity. I'm going to focus on the exercise right now, meaning planned, structured, and repetitive movement with goals in mind. Now, when it comes to what type of exercise, things become quite complicated. There is so much information out there. First and foremost, I want to emphasize this. Everything you do helps. Everything you do helps. Anything is better than nothing. This is really true. Second, there is no ideal form of exercise for everyone. The best one for you is the best one you will stick to. If you remember one thing about this presentation, I would like it to be this. Let's go back to those definitions again, especially now focus on the low, moderate, and vigorous intensity. Here are some examples of those different types of intensity. You can see low intensity is a nice stroll. This kind of feeds into one of the questions that came from that side there. Moderate intensity, nice bike ride, and vigorous intensity, let's get up those steps. And here are some ways that you can test for yourself what level of intensity you're actually exercising. The first column here is the easiest one. It's called the talk test. Low intensity means you can talk and sing. Moderate means you can only sing. And vigorous intensity means you cannot do either. The second scale here is a 9 to 10 scale, subjective scale, called the Borg rating scale. And the third column here talks about heart rate. So the next part of this presentation is taken from an, I don't know why that happened, here. It's taken from an excellent new booklet that very recently appeared in my mailbox. I was invited to download it. I really encourage you to download it too. I already see some people grab their phone right there. It's from the Michael J. Fox Foundation. No, come on, people. It's from the Michael J. Fox Foundation, and it truly has an excellent overview about the different types of exercise and the whys and the hows and how to overcome barriers. I have contacted them twice to see if I could get some copies, but they didn't respond. So I have the QR code here. This is the front page of the booklet, and this is a QR code that will bring you directly to the website where you can, or the page where you can download it. The following slides are either directly copied from the booklet or they are made into slides that convey the same message as the booklet. Here are some different types of exercises and their benefits. It shows aerobic, strength, balance, and flexibility. I believe flexibility is often overlooked, and I try to give it a fair amount of attention when I led my exercise group before COVID. How can you have good movement, big movement, or good balance if you do not have the range of motion to do so? And if you look at the recommended frequency here, it's a lot. Here is a slightly different illustration, including the non-exercise physical activity as well. You can see here at the bottom of the triangle or pyramid, sit sparingly. We already covered this before the break. You can see in this pyramid both exercise, by example strengthening, and physical activity, the non-exercise physical activity, like enjoy leisure activities. If you look at the recommendation of how often to do this, it looks like a lot. But remember, anything is better than nothing, and the best one for you is the best one, that is the one that you stick to. So why is exercise so important in the management of Parkinson's disease? Let's look at that in more detail. Exercise protects the brain. Let this sink in for a moment. Exercise changes the brain. We do not need to read the small letters. They are summaries of the studies that support these statements. Exercise can ease non-motor symptoms. This is interesting, right? Non-motor symptoms can be mitigated by exercise, which is decidedly motor behavior. Or is it? There is, of course, also cognition involved, motivation. We talked a lot about motivation, as Dr. Elvin did. So-called autonomic functions like heart rate, blood pressure, breathing. Remember that in medicine, the division of the body into different systems like motor, non-motor, higher cognitive, autonomic, etc. All these systems are man-made models and as such artificial to understand our bodies better. We need this and it works. But in reality, everything is of course interconnected and whole. Hence, motor symptoms are mitigated, non-motor symptoms are mitigated by motor behavior as an exercise. Exercise is only one ingredient in a healthy mix for life. You also need to consider what you eat, how you connect, a very important part of a healthy life. We will get back to that later, but I will give you a hint now. Support groups. How you sleep, how you manage stress, and whether you limit risky substances. In the booklet, they mention alcohol, pesticides, and other toxic substances. Exercise may slow disease progression. This is so important to understand. Remember at the start of the presentation, the first presentation, I said there is currently no cure for Parkinson's disease. Well, there is increasing evidence that exercise is the only intervention right now that seems to slow the disease itself. In this case, we are talking about high-intensity aerobic exercise. So it's the vigorous intensity physical activity is where that falls under. There is no medication right now that slows the disease. They only, but very often, very effectively, manage the symptoms. Therefore, exercise is truly a very important tool that everyone has access to. This can be very empowering. Exercise is medicine. Physical activity can improve quality of life. We saw this already in the morning presentation. Interestingly, they are specifically naming physical activity, like taking a walk, and not physical exercise here. I don't know why. I'm going to read this whole quote from the booklet in its entirety. If it hasn't already, it will. Life and life with Parkinson's can throw curveballs that make exercise feel like the very last thing you can or want to do. But with planning, creativity, and determination, you can work around what life throws your way and put your best effort into exercise and get the most benefit out of it. Remember, I'm taking all this from this booklet. The booklet goes into several barriers that you can encounter when trying to set up an exercise routine. Some are general barriers, but they also address specific barriers that people with Parkinson's encounter, like apathy, very important one, sweating, autonomic, orthostatic hypotension, rigidity, etc. Again, I encourage you to get this booklet, as I think it can be very helpful to get motivated, find the right exercise, physical activity for you, and find ways to overcome the barriers you might encounter. Different professionals can help you establish and maintain your exercise routine. Here they mention primary care physician or the PD specialist, physical therapist, occupational therapist, music therapist, fitness professional, mental health care provider. So these are all people that can help you to get there. And here's a list of things loved ones can do to support someone in a healthy exercise routine. I love the one that says, be a good role model, and set a shared goal. Let's exercise together. Start exercise early in the disease. I would really like to emphasize this. This is a very important statement, and it represents a shift in approach. Usually, Parkinson's patients are prescribed exercise or physical therapy when they start to have real problems with their balance or gait, which is often not the case when you're first diagnosed. How many of you only had a small tremor or a decreased arm swing, diagnosed as a frozen shoulder maybe, when they were told they had Parkinson's disease? Were you prescribed physical therapy then, or told about the importance of exercise at that time? Luckily, it has become more mainstream now to prescribe exercise as soon as the diagnosis is made. No doubt because of the growing insight that exercise, high-intensity aerobic exercise, seems to slow the disease. In this light, I would also like to mention LSVT big and loud therapy, or POWER, which focuses on large amplitude movements. Early in the disease, this is also a very valuable therapy that makes you aware of the changes in your movement and helps you with what they call recalibration, recalibrate your movements into more normal, bigger or louder movement or speech. Think, by example, bigger steps, better arm swing, or louder voice. But, oh, this is interesting. I'm missing a slide here. Okay. What I wanted to say is that here we get into the purple block that illustrates that I'm actually talking about physical therapy or speech therapy, a medical intervention that prescribes physical exercise. I don't know where my slide has gone. Very strange. All right, let's go to the next one. It can happen. One more time, here's the QR code that will bring you to the website. And I also have some papers with the QR code on the table with the technicians of the lab. Here are a few personal notes I would like to make. This is a quote I have in my office. Ellis et al. In 2011 concluded that how people think about their abilities, rather than their abilities itself, determines if people with Parkinson's participate in exercise or not. In other words, your chance of participating increases when you feel more confident or capable to do so, rather than if you actually can do so or not. And this is why it's important to work with professionals and peers. And this is also the moment I want to give a big and loud shout out to the very important role of support groups. The Parkinson's community is lucky to have the Michigan Parkinson's Foundation, with its many local chapters throughout Michigan. I had the honor of leading an exercise group in the Ann Arbor chapter of the Washtenaw Parkinson's Support Group before COVID. These groups are no pity parties. People come together to exercise as well to enjoy each other's company, exchange experiences, resources, and check on each other when things are hard or uncertain. There was always a lot of laughter and fun. I was deeply moved on how everyone did what they had to do, however hard it was, and did it together with a sense of humor and companionship. The community also offers an abundance of exercise options. Here in Ann Arbor, we have boxing, which is also fantastic. Music, dancing, big and loud, online classes, and more. One thing that I miss, to be honest, is a focus on voice and speaking, although this is touched upon in some classes. I do know there is a choir in Detroit for people with Parkinson's, and I've also heard of acting groups for people with Parkinson's, which is very appropriate to practice loud and clear speech. So, while this presentation was all about starting a good exercise routine, I wondered if it might be helpful to get a little bit more insight in how we can actually change our behavior to achieve meaningful and beneficial results, as opposed to, let's say, the January gym membership, a term coined based on New Year's resolutions. It turns out that just knowing that we must change is not enough, by far not enough. Science has discovered 6 phases that we go through before we achieve meaningful change. I hope you find this helpful and encouraging to see that a lot goes into this, and that knowing but not doing is not a weakness, but rather a phase in this process. There are a few more to go through before change is realized. The first phase is called pre-contemplation. There is no intention, no interest, no awareness of the importance of the behavioral change. And I called this the ignorance is bliss phase. The next phase is contemplation. You start to gather information, measure the pros and cons, but you're not yet committed to change. So that's the knowing but not doing. And I called that the knowledge is power phase. The next phase is called preparation. You start to make small changes and you are committed to following through. And I called that the I can do this phase. The next phase, and again, this is all based on science. I'm not making this up. There's lots of research out there, and they found these 6 phases. The next one is called action. Behavior is implemented, and there is commitment to continue, but there are barriers experienced. So I coined this one, the little engine that could. The next phase is called maintenance. This is when consistent behavioral change is made over for more than 6 months. And I called that the don't stop me now phase, and I'll give brownie points to whoever knows what song that is. Any takers? Thank you. And then so we are at maintenance here, and then also make note of the relapse phase. This is a normal phase in this process. It happens to the best of us, to all of us, and I can only imagine with the barriers that people with Parkinson's encounter that this will happen for sure. Do not give up. Pick yourself up, dust yourself up, and start all over again. Extra brownie points for the person who knows what movie that is and who sings that. Any takers? All right, that's Swing Time with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Here is a different illustration of the 6 phases. Slightly different. It doesn't show the relapse phase, although most models do. And this one includes a phase that's called determination, where the behavior is so integrated that it takes little effort. So I will read this for you guys. Pre-contemplation is, I hate dealing with money, I just work till I die. Contemplation is, wait a minute, Nana lived to be 103. So then there's some preparation. How do you save for your own 100th birthday party? And that's when the action comes in. That is self-explanatory. Maintenance, time to kick back and monitor. And then here they call this termination. Now I don't even have to notice. Now I don't even notice I'm saving. I'm just doing it. So slightly different, but still the same idea. To conclude, I would like to use this quote from Maya Angelou. I would like to quote this quote from Maya Angelou. I quote it regularly. Nobody but nobody can make it out there alone. Thank you for your attention. I want to thank Dr. Elben and Laura for your kind invitation to speak here today. Thank you, Faye, Julia, and our whole lab for your unwavering support and assistance. Science is teamwork. No one but nobody can make it out there alone. And I do have one more thing. If there is time, where's Laura? If I have time, I would like to invite you to a little, where am I? To a little activity. One of the exercise groups that exists for Parkinson's is drumming. Drumming is a fantastic activity, very community-driven. I have to, come on people, why can I not find it? Sorry about this, guys. And also dopamine releasing. Rhythm is very beneficial for people with Parkinson's, and some of you might know that I have given a presentation about rhythm and how it helps Parkinson's. And it's just plain fun. So please join me in a little fun with rhythm. Follow along and let's make some loud noise. Thank you for your attention, and after the activity, I'm happy to answer any question about both presentations you might have. So let's see if it works. I don't have what you told me. If it doesn't work, we will just go to the questions. That's okay. There it is.
Ready?
I'm ready. Are you guys ready? Are you gonna go and... There we go. All right, I don't know how we are in time, Laura. Do we still have some time for questions? All right, bring it on. Or do you want to do that again? No questions?
No questions?
That's good.
Oh, okay.
Yes?
You were talking about high intensity
Yes?
exercises. Can you give like, how do you know if you're doing a high intensity and what are the good ones for Parkinson's?
All right, so I'm going to go back to a slide, if it lets me. Yeah. Where is it?
So the question is, my question specifically,
Yeah.
you can do something like bike riding that
Mm-hmm.
isn't, or you can do bike riding at a high intensity, you know what I mean?
That's exactly right. You can do, yeah.
You're bike riding and then for a portion of it, did it high intensity? Is that what you're kind of talking about? Like, could you just like be riding and then riding so hard you blow out your heart kind of thing? Not
Well,
sure
I
what
would
that is.
never,
No,
ever
you know what I mean, like, to get
advise
your
to
heart
do
rate-
that. Of
like,
course.
To get your heart rate
Yeah.
up into that range or whatever?
Yeah, well, I would say if you really get into the high intensity physical activity or exercise, you should definitely do that, at least when you start out under the supervision of a fitness trainer or a personal trainer or physical therapist, etc. And you might even want to have yourself checked out if you can participate in that. And of course, Parkinson's disease as well as age can put some, limitations as to what you can do. I would say, especially the high impact, where there's a lot of impact. It's harder on your bones and on your entire body. However, every kind of exercise you can do low, moderate, or vigorous. So maybe swimming is the one for you. I think biking is a very good example too. Rowing, there are lots of machines that you can do in a fitness group. I don't think you have to do 8 hours of vigorous activity. Yeah.
Second question is how long, or how long? Like,
Actually, I do not know the exact answer to that. I do know there's a very interesting study going on, of which there is some information on the table, which is called Sparks, where they are testing, where they have already shown that high-intensity physical exercise, they do biking or treadmill. Please correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys, if there is this candle, for an hour total, but that includes a warm-up and a slow down, 4 days a week.
So it's 4 days a week, and it's like about 45 minutes.
Oh, of the actual high intensity.
30 minutes of the high intensity, but then there's like 5-minute warm up and 5
Yeah.
minute cool down.
Okay, 45 minutes, 5 minutes warm-up, 40 minutes of high intensity, and then you really have to get to that heart rate. But that's all done under supervision, at least initially. And then 5 minutes of cool down, 4 days a week. And that already has shown to mitigate to slow down the progress of Parkinson's disease. And right now they're doing a study, and please again, Kendall, correct me if I'm wrong, where they're looking if you actually have to go all the way to 85% of your heart rate, or if 60% of your maximum heart rate is enough. And they're doing it with participants who do not yet have medication. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. So, 45 minutes, 3 days a week? Is that answering? Yeah. Okay, very good. Any other question? Yes?
This is more of a plug. I'm a caregiver of Parkinson's patient for 21 years. And the best thing we've ever had in all these years has been boxing. And I know that sounds odd.
No, it's not.
I'm intimidated by the word boxing.
Yes.
Amazing class where they've even adapted it to the wheelchair. We're the only
Yes.
wheelchair participant right now. But the incredible getting past the apathy and going, we go twice a week, and the community, I see so many people here that are
Yes.
in this class, and it's anywhere from stretching to
I
getting
totally
past movement,
agree.
even in a chair. They've even got him planking in the end. I mean,
I
it's
know.
just all these different things. It's incredible. So I just wanted to put a big plug for it.
Yeah, that's very good. Boxing definitely falls under the high intensity, vigorous activity, vigorous exercise. So it very much falls within the category where it might really mitigate the symptoms or slow down the symptoms. I think the fact that you mentioned the support, in the community, in the group, is also phenomenal. I've seen boxing groups, and I was moved to tears, really. How it works. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, we have one now in Ann Arbor too. We didn't have one before, but yes, I saw
So I
another.
have a question, but I'll also put in a plug for the boxing. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's so fun, and we sing, we
There you go.
dance, we do all kinds of stuff in addition to the actual boxing.
Yeah.
I have a question about rhythm. You mentioned that the importance of rhythm, and I'd never heard about that before. Can you say a little bit more about that?
it's an external cue. It's an external cue that will help you move. And it can be a visual cue. I mean, there are anecdotes of people with Parkinson's who have painted their floors black and white, so they have a visual cue. That's not really rhythm. Or it's an auditory cue. And this external cue just seems to be a very good motivator for people to move. In my presentation that I gave about rhythm a while ago, it just goes to very basic things in our life. Everything is rhythm, walking is rhythm. I don't remember all the details of my presentation, but rhythm is everywhere. It's very soothing. It invites you to move. I have to look up my slides to look at all the details, but In terms of Parkinson's, it's the best answer and the most clear answer I can give. It's an external cue that works very well. Does that answer your
For
question?
breaking a freeze as well, rhythm, counting or tapping or rhythmically swaying side to side. A lot of people find that's really helpful to break a freeze when they're stuck.
Yeah, that's true. Any other questions? No?
Thank you so much.
Am I in
Dr.
time?
Bonin. You're good.
All right,
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Laura, for organizing all this. She's really the backbone behind all this. Thank you.
So thank you all for coming. Hopefully we will see you on June 21st. You will get an email with all the information and you'll be able to sign up in advance just like you did today. And then once the videos are produced and posted, you'll get an email about that as well so that you can go back and review the presentations or share them with others. Thank you for coming.